Hi there, it's Heather Hakes. I'm coming on to share with you about a podcast I released this morning called You Get to Choose, Victim or Victor. I share a very personal story that happened to me when I was just 4 years old, excuse me, and something that I've carried around with me for 29 years. I played that victim role, that victim mentality for 29 years. And instead of realizing that life is happening for me, not to me. The incident I want to share with you is when I was 4 years old, I was sexually abused by an older cousin. And it actually happened on two occasions. And I remember when I shared it with my mom, some family members didn't believe me and they thought I was lying. There was no way he could do that. So, to say it lightly, that incident really fucked me up for years, 29 years to be exact. And I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people have experienced sexual abuse. But what this podcast episode is about, being a victim or a victor, you get to choose your circumstances, your experiences, and your situations, whether you sit in that victim role, pity yourself, carry that chain and ball with you and let that be your story, or you get to forgive it and move on, and you should, because forgiveness will set you free and it gives you peace, and that's what you deserve. I share in this podcast episode what happened with me. I remember the child therapist at the time said that this may be something that I carry with me into my teens and 20s and relationships, and it may affect me, and it did. To be honest, I'm very frank, but in my 20s, the only way I could ever have sex with a guy was to be intoxicated. And I remember dating guys in my early 20s that either tried to force me to do things I didn't want to do or gave me deadlines on when I had to do them, so I broke up with them. It wasn't until I watched Tony Robbins' I'm Not Your Guru on Netflix in 2016 that I had my first step into this whole forgiveness thing. And so I remember watching that, and I sent a group text to family members, bringing the situation to light, letting them know, hey, it did happen, but I was ready to release it. I wanted to let it go, and I wanted to move on. In 2017, I had spent time with this guy that I know. I've known him for over a decade, somebody who I felt extremely safe and comfortable with, and I was finally able to embrace the discomfort and get over that hurdle, not intoxicated. And it was huge for me. And then the last huge breakthrough that I want to share with you just happened in August. So a couple months ago, I was at another Tony Robbins event, and it was the last day, the last exercise, and we were guided through this meditation. So we had to close our eyes, and we walked out, and we had to visualize this big open field, and somebody way out in the distance was walking towards us. And, so I don't remember what they're saying, but this person is walking towards us. And then the closer it got, I realized what the speaker was doing. That person approaching me was my 4-year-old little self. And I remember crying tears of joy and relief. And I got down on my knees and I embraced that little girl. And I let her know that it wasn't her fault and she was safe and everything was okay and life was happening for her. I've included the link. Check into today's podcast. And what I want you to know is, what circumstance, what experience have you been carrying around that victim mode? And are you ready to step into being a victor? So it's time for you to forgive that situation, whatever it may be, and become the victor. That's what I want for you. Have a fabulous week.